Sometimes I watch a movie that I watched a lot when I was a kid, and I think that was a pretty good movie. That holds up. Um, I just recently rewatched the movie Casper, which came out in 1995. And this movie left me with so many questions. Just just so many questions. Um I there are things about it where I don't understand what happened. I don't understand how these little bits of plot became the movie that I watched. I don't get it. First big question. Who are the ghostly trio? I think, the movie explains that the ghostly trio are three ghosts, Stinky, Fatso, and Stretch. And they're ghosts that live in the house in Whipstaff Manor, the name of the house where Casper lives, or dies. He's a ghost who resides there. I don't know. And these three ghosts all live there with Casper, and they're supposedly Casper's uncles, right? They're some kind of familial relation to Casper. And yet, I had this thought of like they don't really explain who these people were or how they're related to Casper, or other than just their uncles, right? And of course, the term uncle can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Some people use uncle colloquially, like if this is my mom's friend, Uncle Stretch or whatever. So maybe that's what it is. And I kind of dug into this a little bit and looked it up because I didn't understand. And I guess the prequels imply that the ghosts are not Casper's literal uncles. They are three ghosts that started to teach Casper after Casper dropped out of some evil ghost's ghost school, which this is not a movie I've seen. I'm not gonna pretend I understand this plot either. But that's the deal. So okay, so they're not his real uncles. But yet in Casper, there's a scene where Christina Ricci, uh, when she's first arrived to the house and is trying to figure out which bedroom she should sleep in, she opens a door and finds a room with three beds inscribed Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky, like old beds with their names engraved on the headboards. And it's okay, so these guys aren't Casper's uncles, but they had beds in the house, which to me implies they lived in the house at some point, right? Like these are guys that actually inhabited the house because they have these beds. And now the movie shows that ghosts can like pick up objects and manipulate things, and like I get that, but okay, why would they drag beds in and have their bad nicknames inscribed on them? Like that's I don't. The beds seem to be as old as the rest of the stuff in the house, also. So there's layer upon layer of like, who are these guys and why do they have this weird situation living in a house with, and again, living is probably the wrong, inhabiting this house, haunting it with this kid ghost. Where did you guys come from? What is this? Anyway, first that's my first question. Okay, so question number two. Um, Kerrigan, who is the woman who inherits the home, right? She inherits Whipstaff Manor at the beginning of the movie, and she and her close personal friend Dibbs, no first name given. I assume Dibbs is his last name. I don't know. The two of them decide they're going to go find the treasure that's hidden somewhere at Whipstaff Manor. When she inherits the home, Dibbs finds a sheet written in invisible ink about a treasure buried somewhere in the house. And so they show up at the house. They're trying to get the ghosts out so they can get in and get the treasure and then get the hell out of there. And so over the course of the movie, we have this sequence in which Kerrigan finds out more and more about the house. She discovers that Casper's father, who is an inventor, has a machine hidden in the basement of the house that can bring a ghost back to life. And presumably there's just enough juice for one ghost to get brought back to life. And Kerrigan has the brilliant idea of, I know, I will die and become a ghost and go through the wall of the vault where I know the treasure is hidden and then bring it out. Then I will use the machine to resurrect myself, and then I'll have the treasure and I'll have the mansion, and then we'll all live happily ever after. And Also, Kerrigan has a whole sequence where she tries to kill her friend Dibbs. Dibbs tries to kill Kerrigan. And there's actually a kind of funny scene where Kerrigan actually ends up dying because she crashes her Range Rover into a tree, opens the door to her car, steps out of the car, and plummets to her death. So Kerrigan comes back as a ghost, and she goes out into the house, back into the room where the machine is, gets the treasure out of the vault, and Kat and Casper immediately point out, hey, if you're a ghost and you're on this plane, that means you have unfinished business. So you can't be here because you've finished your business, essentially. And Kerrigan boasts, yeah, I have everything I want. I have my treasure in my mansion. What more could I possibly need? And she immediately crosses over, leaving the treasure behind. And the treasure turns out to be a baseball glove and a baseball signed by a player on the Brooklyn Dodgers. So that also gives us kind of a good idea of when Casper was alive and or dead, because the Dodgers moved to LA in the 50s. So, okay, so far so good, except if the rule for crossing over is that you have to have unfinished business to stay on this plane, why is Casper still there? And I pose this question because Casper, there's a whole scene where Casper and Kat try to recreate Casper's memory, and Casper can't remember anything, and Kat finds Casper's old playroom and sets up all his old toys, and then Casper starts to remember. He explains how he dies. They find newspaper clippings about Casper's father, and Casper reveals that he remembers that he died of pneumonia after playing on a sled for too long one winter's day. And he says he didn't go where he was supposed to go because he wanted to make sure his father wasn't lonely. So he stuck around with his father, who told the public at some point that he was being haunted by his dead son, which he was, as it turns out. But in the process of doing so, everybody thought he was crazy and he was committed to an asylum and left the house. And at some point along the line, somebody bought it and Kerrigan's father owned it, and then Kerrigan inherited the house. Okay. But Casper is staying behind to keep his father company, even though he died. Casper's father gets committed, put into an asylum. Casper then stays in the house for decades after his father is committed. Presumably his father has died, because Amelia, an angel that appears in the final act of the movie, says that Casper has made his father so proud for realizing his life's work, and it was a very selfless thing you did, and we'll get into that in a minute. But so, okay, so he's dead, which means Casper kept his father company all those years until he was committed. And then he helped ensure his father's legacy would go fulfilled, even though he was committed, and even though it didn't work on Casper, Casper was able to fulfill his father's life work. So what is keeping Casper on this mortal plane? I ask you this question. Also, I cannot believe Kerrigan just took on faith that the machine would work, and that Casper, a ghost that had been in this house for 50 years and was still dead, was not lying about the machine working. It could very well have been that the machine didn't work, and that's the tragedy of Casper haunting the house, is that he had the machine downstairs and it actually didn't work, and that's why he's still haunting. Like, that could have been a whole other thing. But Kerrigan, I guess she's goofy and greedy and therefore doesn't think these things through, I guess. I don't know. But I do think there's a certain missing link here about why Casper is still in the house at all. I'm sure it's not weird obligation to his creepy uncles, but what do I know? Okay, third question. We already went through the whole Kerrigan thing where she decides, I'm going to get the treasure through death and then coming back to life with the treasure, and she doesn't know it's a baseball mitt and a baseball. So Kerrigan does all that. She dies, she comes back to life, and she's immediately snapping into action. She knows what she needs to do. She knows what the next steps are. She immediately starts yelling at Dibbs to go get the treasure, or whatever it is, whatever she's yelling at him. I don't remember exactly. I just watched this. You'd think I'd have this on my mind a little better, but she goes down into the basement. She gets tricked. She crosses over. She goes to wherever she went. The other side, I guess. And the very next scene, Kat goes to try to revive Casper a second time in the machine, the Lazarus machine that his father invented. And Kat's father shows up, Dr. Harvey, who has just died in a scene with the ghostly trio. They are out at a bar, and the trio has watched Dr. Harvey do karaoke, Jailhouse Rock, as a matter of fact. And Dr. Harvey says, "You guys are great, and you guys, I love you guys." The drunken bro talk, I guess. And the three ghosts, meanwhile, have been talking about we should kill him and make him part of our ghostly gang. We should be a ghostly quartet instead of a trio. And so they have these ghost weapons. Which, do ghost weapons work? I Casper early in the movie says that he and Kat can't hurt each other if they touch each other, and yet there's a lot of mayhem that sort of assumes that the ghosts can hurt people. Where do they get the weapons? I have no idea. I don't really understand this whole sequence. Also, I just remembered that there's a guy just sort of like sobbing in the background of this scene, just like crying at how lovely this weird moment between this psychologist of the afterlife and three ghosts are having in this bar. I don't know. So Dr. Harvey basically says, "Hey, I'm going to tell Kerrigan she can shove it. You guys, this is your house. You haunt it. You get to stay." And the ghosts feel bad and go, "Oh man, like, okay, you're being really nice. I guess we can't kill him now." And then Dr. Harvey walks out the door of the bar and falls down an open trench and dies. I have to point out here that I saw this movie in the theaters in 1995. And I remember seeing him fall down the trench. Maybe this is a Mandela effect. Maybe I'm wrong. But I remember him falling down the trench. I remember seeing him tip in. In this version that I just watched, which it's a DVD version, that's definitely what it is, he stumbles out the door, and then as he's falling, the doors close, and you can't see him fall, and you just hear him, as he falls. But the way the shot is framed, it looks like they were trying to frame the shot like you could still see Bill Pullman as he was backing through the door. So this is a weird edit. I wonder if somebody got upset that like you could see him fall, even though you can also see Kerrigan fall in the scene where she dies. I don't know. I'm speculating here, but I swear to God I saw him fall into the pit when I was younger. So, okay, he dies. And so now we're back at the house. Bill Pullman's character, Dr. Harvey, is dead. He is now a ghost. And he's going nuts and floating around. "Whoa, I'm a ghost," having a good time. And Kat is understandably distraught, right? We are aware throughout the whole movie that Kat has lost her mother. Kat's mother died kind of unexpectedly a couple years ago. It's what has caused Dr. Harvey to become an afterlife psychologist. He is searching for his late wife and is insistent that he'll find her if he just keeps looking at haunted places. Like, he'll eventually find her ghost because she must be looking for him too, I think is the idea here. And so he's now a ghost, which means Kat immediately puts the pieces together and Dr. Harvey's dead, right? And so Dr. Harvey is having a grand old time as a ghost. Kat is not so pleased that Dr. Harvey is dead, as you would imagine. And so Dr. Harvey keeps goofing around and joking, "Oh, ghost, woo," and he just got back from the bar. I don't know if he's drunk. Can ghosts be drunk when they died after they finished drinking? I don't know the rules. So Dr. Harvey doesn't remember who Kat is, and she has to do the pinky promise thing that they did earlier in the movie so that he'll remember who she is. And he does remember. He goes, "Oh God, what have I done? What have I done?" And Kat and Casper get him back into Lazarus, and they end up resurrecting Dr. Harvey and bringing him back to life instead of Casper. This is a really sweet scene, I guess. It's also like a huge sacrifice for Casper, especially since his whole purpose was keeping his father company while he was trying to build this machine to resurrect Casper. And then Casper sacrifices his chance to be alive again in order to allow Dr. Harvey to live because Kat's now lost both parents. So Dr. Harvey comes back to life and he says, "Oh, I just had a horrible dream. It felt like we were going to lose each other." And okay, great. My question about all this, when Kerrigan died, she was all business and she knew what was going on. She knew who Dibs was. She knew who Cat was. She knew who Casper, or at least what Casper was. She knew that she wanted the treasure. She knew where the treasure was located. She knew how to get to that basement, even though she was a ghost and could now suddenly go through walls. She knew where everything was. She figured all of that out immediately upon dying. And yet, I am supposed to believe that Dr. Harvey doesn't know who his daughter is right after he dies. Like, she's your daughter. How do you not know who she is? What are the rules about ghosts forgetting things? Because we know Casper forgets a whole bunch of stuff, but the implication seems to be that, like, if he's around familiar objects, he'll start to piece things together and remember things, right? Like, Cat puts his toys out, and then Casper remembers how he dies, and then he remembers what happened to his father, and then remembers that his father had built this machine in the basement, and then we get this whole sequence. Okay, so why does Dr. Harvey immediately forget Cat? What happened here? Did everyone just like forget how this worked? And they were like, well, ghosts forget stuff. That's the easy explanation. Like, but like again, Casper like sees his like toy train, and now all of a sudden he knows that he died of pneumonia, and his dad was a crazy inventor guy who developed a chair that turns into a weird Wallace and Gromit-esque roller coaster of getting ready in the morning. And by the way, that chair, I swear to God, is a ripoff of The Wrong Trousers, the Wallace and Gromit claymation short from the 90s. I might cut that if it turns out that The Wrong Trousers came out after Casper. I may eat my words. I'm saying this mostly to myself for when I edit it later. Anyway, I don't understand why he doesn't remember who Cat is. Your whole motivation in the whole movie is and now as a ghost, right, your unfinished business is probably to go find your wife, right? You're a ghost on this plane and you have unfinished business. Shouldn't you know who your daughter is? The whole thing it drives me crazy. Okay, finally, we got to go to the last question. Okay, we are now on to my fourth question, and it is about the end of the movie. So, okay, Casper has saved Dr. Harvey. Kat is having her school Halloween party at their house because it's a big spooky house. Casper gets visited by this angel named Amelia, and I will tell you right now that Amelia is Kat's mom. This is not really a secret in the movie. The second she arrives, Casper goes, "Are you Kat's mom?" Like, yeah, why would you know that? But okay, sure, fine. Are you an angel? Yeah, I'm an angel. Cool, sick. And yeah, so Amelia comes down from on high and says, Casper, you did an amazing, selfless thing by saving Dr. Harvey. You know, Kat and her father will never forget that. I can't believe that, you know, you fulfilled your father's destiny. You made the machine work and you saved a ghost from being trapped on the mortal plane and as a ghost instead of as a human being. Your reward is that you get to be human for like an hour. You now get to go downstairs in your original body from the 50s, I guess, the 40s or 50s, and have seemingly 4 minutes of slow dancing with my daughter, who is still alive and is 13 years old, and then you're done and you're going back to being a ghost forever, which feels like kind of a weak reward for what Casper gave up, but it's neither here nor there, I guess. I doubt Amelia made the rules. I doubt that was her call. What do I know? I don't know the hierarchy in heaven or wherever Amelia. There's no mention of heaven or hell in this movie. I don't fully understand. There's just this plane and then crossing over to the other plane. I don't know what the rules are in this movie. So okay, cool. Casper now goes downstairs, dances with Kat. He's now Devon Sawa. 90s heartthrob Devon Sawa, and Dr. Harvey is standing on the staircase kind of watching the party, which it makes sense. It's his daughter and it's a bunch of weird kids he doesn't know from her school who are there for a party, and suddenly he turns because he feels something behind him. He slowly turns and it's his late wife Amelia, and this is the moment that I think the movie has been building towards for the whole film. I think this is it, right? This is the emotional climax of the movie. I will admit that I teared up watching this, despite the weirdness of the rest of the movie. There really is, like, you do get connected to the characters. As many plot holes as I feel like there are in this movie, and maybe these aren't plot holes, maybe I'm just looking too deeply at a 1995 ghost movie, but I I think there really is like an emotional core to this movie, and it's very well done. This is not a manipulative movie. This isn't a movie where you go, "Oh, this is awful. Like this is so bad." Like the lack of logic almost doesn't matter, right? The beats are the emotional beats of the movie. I'm thinking about this like I'm trying to analyze a sci-fi movie and try to make sense of it. This movie is an emotional movie, not a factual movie. And I think that's where I get lost in the sauce on this. It's still a good movie in that way. I think that I have to emphasize that. So this scene really did kind of get me a little bit. And Amelia is saying like, you're doing a great job with Kat. Like she's growing up beautifully. You're doing such a great job. Here are some tips, whatever. And one thing that Amelia says, and this is what really stuck out to me, was basically she tells Dr. Harvey, look, I know you miss me. You have to stop dragging Kat all over the country looking for me. Stop that. I'm not a ghost. And this is the thing that I think really caught my ear, which was I had no way to stay behind. I had no unfinished business. There was zero unfinished business for me because you and Kat loved me so much that I had nothing left to accomplish. I had no unfinished business. You loved me so much that I crossed over immediately. And now I'm an angel. Again, I don't know how the hierarchy works, but she clearly got promoted from good dead person to great dead person. I don't know. But okay, so this brings me to a really dark question, which is, all right, so we know she was so loved that she goes straight to heaven. Great. Earlier in the movie, Kerrigan has her unfinished business, which is get the treasure, right? And then she gets the treasure and she crosses over. Dr. Harvey dies, and he's a ghost, and he does not immediately cross over. And it's sort of like how CASPER says, I died and then I didn't go where I was supposed to go because I was worried about my dad and I stuck around. So Dr. Harvey is left behind on this plane, and he does not cross over after his death. And in fact, he's haunting the house for a couple minutes before CASPER steps in and sacrifices his own chance to become alive again. So my question is, did Kat and Dr. Harvey love Amelia more than Kat and Amelia loved Dr. Harvey? And that's why he was trapped on this plane? Did they not love him enough? There's also a whole meta question of like, if you're loved, is that enough to get you into heaven, I guess? I mean, maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe I'm making this too complicated, but there is this sort of implication that if you're loved and you have no unfinished business beyond the fact that you're so taken care of emotionally, like, is that it? You just punch your ticket and you're good to go? I guess crossing over doesn't mean you go to heaven automatically. I might be walking this back. Like, Kerrigan probably didn't go to heaven, right? I think that's the implication of the movie. Like, she crosses over, but there's no indication that she goes to heaven. There's no indication really that she goes to hell either, other than the fact that she's the antagonist of the movie. But it's interesting that there's a lack of conclusion on that front, because clearly Amelia is an angel, which means she's in heaven. Now I have even more questions and my head is spinning. Cool. Thanks, Casper. Really appreciate it. All right. That's about it for this. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. This is kind of a different style of video than I usually do, but I think it worked pretty well. If you liked it, you should actually like it, and you should like leave a comment down below, and you can tell me also that like I'm wrong about stuff, or you disagree with me, or that you agree with me, or you forgot this movie existed, or whatever you want in the comments down below. I also would love it if you subscribe to the channel. I think I'm probably going to start doing more videos like this where I just talk to the camera, because this seems like a much better way to do things. So if you liked this and you think, hey, I might want to watch more of these, you should subscribe because there will be more of these. I also have a Substack. The link is in the description down below. Feel free to click on that and go over and check that out. I hope you have a great Halloween. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next one. Goodbye.